everybody. It's Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing Live. And this is Power to Sing Live number 157. And today we're going to talk about how to sing low notes. That is, we're going to talk about how to sing low notes. And so that's just a question I get kind of often. So let's talk about it today, and we'll see if we can't come up with some kind of like pattern for getting the low notes. So how are you today? Let me just fix this so that I can see comments. There's a singer, and hey, Angela, nice to have you here today. There's a singer named Richard Anthony Sturban. I'm going to talk about him a little bit. You maybe have seen him. Let me fix this camera because it's cutting off the top of my head. There we go. You may have seen, I know him from the Oak Ridge Boys, and I want to talk about him because he has a low voice. And so the question of the day is, how low can you go? That's not a real note. Now, ladies, I know that you can't go as low as the guy, so how low can you go? That's the question. That's a bit of a growl. So E flat today for me, E flat 2, and but I've got quite a bit of weight in that bottom voice. But it's nothing like, I don't think I could get rich on that. But there are some who can. Anyway, ladies, I have students who can get, I have female singers who can sing down to the B below the B2, so they're down to here. I've had some contralto voices that can get down that easy. So everybody's pretty happy about. There's AJ, and he's going nuts about AJ Shukla, and Petunia, nice to have you here. I'm 4 minutes late, but made it. You know what? You're fine. And we're going to have a lively discussion today about how to sing low notes. Hi, John McCall. Nice to have you here today. And Jonathan Actus, nice to have you here. So thanks for joining us today. Thank you, John. All right, now, so let's talk about how to sing low notes. You do it like this. Any questions? I'm joking. There are some things that influence low notes. Tell me in the comments section below. Give me some idea of what influences how low you can sing. What influences your low notes? What's the number one thing, do you think? Give me an idea. What's the number one door that has to be open in your voice to be able to sing low? Hey, Marco. Hi, nice to have you here today. So you've got some extra time now that you're getting ready to leave on your gig. Okay, so what's the number one deal, do you think, that governs low notes? Margarita Messenger, she has quite a range. She's got at least 3 octaves. And she can get very low in her voice. And so what is it? What is it What's the number one thing, do you think? I'll give you my opinion, but I want to hear from you. What do you think the number one thing is for the low notes? And so when I get done with my conversation today, I'll answer all kinds of questions. But we're going to cover low notes first. So what is the number one thing, do you think? Okay, Carmen says low laryngeal position. And Carmen, I would say that I completely agree with you, although I would put it number 2. So I think there's one thing that has to be present in order for us to have low notes. Genetics. I think it's genetics. I think people with low voices and they can sing low, the number one reason is because that's the structure of their chords. There's their chord structure. It's the voice. Maybe they've inherited from a family member, but they were born that way. And so the vocal cords are longer and thicker, men or women, and they have more depth. As a result, there's more depth capacity, and maybe their resonant chamber is somewhat, amenable to a certain kind of vibration. But I think I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it's genetic. I tell you, you can't have think about it. Just think about it for a minute. Maybe number 2 is your gender. Genetics and gender, which are pretty strongly related. But within genders, it's still genetics. I have a friend, an acquaintance, who desperately desired to have a lower soprano or, a mezzo-soprano voice, and she was a very high soprano. And for what she wanted to do in musical theater, it was somewhat frustrating for her because it wouldn't allow her to go for some of the roles that she would like to sing. Now, I think she's come to terms with that because there's so much she can do with her voice. But genetically, she just doesn't. It's smaller chord structure and thinner, and there's not a lot, ladies and gentlemen, that she can do about that. So if she can only sing on the very best day of her singing life, and it goes to the A flat, and it starts to fade out. So I don't think there's anything more influential in being able to sing low notes than our genes, fundamentally. However, now that we have established genetic, I believe that Carmen is exactly right, that the low larynx, or a larynx that's resting at your speech level, it doesn't have to be jammed down like this. Because really, I'm not talking about manipulation here. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in manufacturing something in your voice, because sooner or later it's going to bite you, in my opinion. It's just not normal. It's not natural. You want your natural sound. But here's the problem. We've all faced this, haven't we? Well, I have faced this where I know what my range is, and I know I have an E generally. And I'm not forcing it. I'm not jamming it down on my voice. No, I'm just singing. and I have to relax. Now, on Saturday morning, it's a lot better. Saturday mornings, I can go deeper. And it has something to do with my chords either being so relaxed or, I don't know why. Someone asked me that question the other day, and I really don't know the science as to why when you first wake up in the morning, sometimes your voice is deeper. But that's not going to help us when we're singing and performing. So we've got to have a reliable, system to make these notes available. But what I was going to explain is I've been in shows before, and I know my low note is E, and so therefore I have an F, a G, an A flat, an A, and I've been in the ensemble before in a show, or I've had some leading role where I'm also singing in the ensemble, and I'm maybe singing the bass, and I don't have that note. The bass note comes along, and I'm supposed to hold that note on the bottom, and it's not there. I'm like, and I can't get to it. And so what's going on? Has anyone ever had that experience where you've got a certain note, a certain low note, it's always there for you, but sometimes you can't hit it? Has that ever happened to you guys? Carmen, has that happened to you? Because you seem to be kind of in touch with maybe what's causing that. Just curious if you know, or if you've got a sense if that's happened to you in your experience. Let me take a couple comments here. Okay. XINTC91X. Genetics is definitely a thing, but although my speaking voice is around the G2, G sharp 2, I find a lot easier to sing in the lower fourth octave than in the lower third octave. Okay, all right, fair enough. Anybody else? Let me see. Carmen says a well-developed voice can be low via chest participation. Maybe. What do you mean by chest participation, Carmen? That's an interesting thing. I don't think I've ever heard of that term, so I'm not exactly sure. John McCall says, true, just ask J.D. Sumner. He will tell you to post of coffee and smoke a lot. I don't listen to his advice. No, I'm not talking about doing it through abuse. I'm talking about your natural naked voice, unassisted, uninfluenced by drugs, external other kinds of chemical whatever, in fact, I have found that those things, I mean, not smoking or anything, but like if I drink a Coke Zero or something, I don't think it helps me sing lower. I think it I start losing the bottom in my voice. It seems like, and I think the caffeine will dehydrate us, and so that makes it harder for us to sing too. Let me see here. AJ says, can I start singing now? I am 18 years old. Yes, you can. Ask AJ. I started singing at 6. Okay. All right. So, John McCall says, I know Chuck knows best, and I sing 400 dates a year. Wow. Okay. I study bel canto singing. It's all about coarse, dark, released, non-constricted singing. Yeah, so Carmen, I think there's a lot to that. So if I take a look at we're going on some fast comments here. Yep, can't always. So Joe says she can't always hit her low notes. About core dark. Okay. Carmen clarified the word as core dark, I think is what you're saying. So Carmen also says, I read Tetrazzini Caruso or the Malocci method. Another comment from X. Yes, but it's mostly related to bad breath support. The low notes require more air, and if you can't control the airflow, your vocal cords are going to go apart, which is why you can't reach the low notes. Okay. Melody says, I have trouble with my low notes giving me a sore throat, not pulled chest, the bottom chest voice. All right, so yeah, so everybody's got some experience with it. So what I found as I was talking about in the in if I'm singing in an ensemble, and this has happened repeatedly, I erroneously, and I'm better at this now, although I haven't been in an ensemble for a while, but if I am singing with people around me on stage, I tend to sing, I want to sing louder than the person next to me so I can hear it, hear my voice. And if I can't hear myself, then I don't feel like I'm singing loud enough. That's wrong. You shouldn't do that. You don't need to hear yourself. You just need to know that you're blending in with the others. What I'm saying is I oversing. I'm singing too hard, I'm singing too loud, and in many instances, some of the notes are higher in my chest voice. So what happens if you're singing loud and hard in the upper chest? Larynx gets pulled up. And then at the end of the song, or the last note in in some part of it, and it's down in it's not there. It's not available to me. So here's the premise that I want to give you. Premise number one: if the larynx is high, low notes that you typically have disappear. Premise number two: the opposite is true. If the larynx is resting low or at your speech level, the low notes that you normally have are there. I know that if I'm talking all day long, in whatever situations, if I'm just using my voice all day long and I'm not cognizant, I'm not thinking, I'm not doing it, I'm not breathing right, and I get a little bit lazy and everything starts to get very throaty, guess what happens to my low notes? Yep. They start fading out. They get fuzzy. I can't get down in and so it's because the larynx is coming up. And I think maybe NC91X also said something about some breath support. And for me, if I'm sitting and speaking, I'm not always tuning in to projecting appropriately so that so that it's not becoming just all about the chord structure, and I'm not just sitting here and not supporting it. So those things combined, the larynx starts coming up, and now when I if I want to sing low, the notes are not there. When I was early married, this is back in the late 70s, the Oak Ridge Boys sang a song called Elvira, and this Richard Anthony Sturban was the bass, and it just blew my socks off. He had such a great sound. And if you hear him, I actually just was watching an interview that he did back in 2013. He wrote a book. His book is entitled From Elvis to Elvira. I think he used to sing with Elvis or in backup or something. And he's famous. He's a famous quartet singer, and so forth. But he's the one that would sing oom bapa ma ma, and then he'd go oom bapa ma ma, and he was just like off the charts. The whole, I had my speakers up, the whole room is shaking, because he's got this amazing low voice. But my experience with voice and with my own voice and with the voices of other students is that if that larynx is up, then the low notes aren't as accessible and sometimes just fuzz right out. Okay, let me take a couple comments. So the two premises equal this pithy statement. The quality of your low notes is dependent on the quality of your high notes. You might even say that your ability to sing the low notes, to have the full range, the bottom range, is dependent upon the quality of your high notes. Why? Because the quality of your high notes are also, that's a real fast indicator as to whether the larynx is high or not. If the larynx is up, then you're going to be squeezing, grabbing, it's tight. You're going to be pulling up the chest voice, and you're going to lose the bottom. You're going to lose the bottom notes. All right, so a couple comments. Let me just grab, let me back up here and see. Okay, you guys got some help going on with each other. Awesome. Thank you for sharing your expertise. John McCall says, in the morning I can sing my lowest. If anything, that is when I sing those songs that have the lower tones. Daniel says, Arg, it happened again. I'm late. Okay, Daniel, you're not too late, though. I was meaning to ask you about singing lower sometimes. Good. Margarita says, Margarita said, probably genetics are a big factor. My great-grandmother was a famous church contralto. Awesome. That's cool. I notice in my voice, it's clearer and easier to produce a nice low note when I'm relaxed. And that's really my experience too, Margot. And at first, I didn't understand why. I didn't know the relationship between the resting, comfortable, larynx being low and resting, and about where I speak, and its influence on my singing. But I started to connect these two, and then I've heard Seth Riggs talk about this also. Carmen says, inhalera la voce. Okay, probably a conversation that I'm not in on. Melody says, I didn't realize your larynx could come up while speaking. This may be part of my sore throat problems. Yeah, it's one of the most taxing industries on the voice are grade school teachers, because they have to speak over the classroom a lot. And I've had several students. Another really strenuous career on voices, well, this is not this isn't the same as teachers, of course, would be cheerleaders, high school cheerleaders. But that's pretty obvious, isn't it? Public speakers sometimes, professional speakers, have issues with their voices tiring out, and it has to do with a number of factors, probably overuse, but I'm sure the larynx is a factor also. Okay, Joe says, I loved Elvira, and I did too. I still love it. And his voice, Richard Sturban, his voice is an awesome and rich voice. Now, I'm not talking about, and a lot of people will start to, they'll say, well, my lowest note that I can sing is my fry. But I don't put a lot of substance in. Oh, I don't really refer to that as singing. Oh, I mean, I'm talking about something that you're singing, and a fry is a different wave pattern in the voice than a singing or a speaking sound. It's more of a beat rather than a wave pattern on the from what I understand on the chord structure. So it's a different configuration, and I'm also not talking about forcing or jamming the voice down in. So, for example, if I said, I'm not talking about those notes. I'm talking about what is you're comfortably able to sing. All right, so I think we've pretty well, covered this concept that the position of the larynx seems to have a direct impact on our ability or inability to sing the low notes that we're capable of singing. And then I'm gonna give you a couple exercises here that get the larynx down. And also, we probably ought to talk about, well, how do you sing? If you're in an ensemble, how do you sing it so that you don't, so the larynx doesn't keep coming up, and then you start losing the bottom? Or maybe you're going to do like Margaretta. I hope you don't mind me sharing it, but Margaretta and her husband just have just received the contract with a cruise line, and they're going to be some of the musicians on the cruise line. They have a 6-month contract. Is that right? I'm thinking 6 month. Maybe it's 5 month. Anyway, and so they're going to be singing three sets a day, 7 days a week. And so what do you have to do then? It's just her and her husband. What do you do then when your voice is being, it's taxing. So how do you manage your voice so that on your low notes they're nice and clear? I think the same principles are going to apply, and and that is that you keep the larynx down. You're not pulling chest up. You're not reaching or straining for the high notes, and that's going to affect the position of the larynx. And you do that religiously, consistently, so that you have access to your full range all the time. Let's take some comments, and then I'm going to give you some exercises. Okay, so let me see here. Angela says your premise and statement make sense. Okay, thanks, Angela. And it's making more sense all the time. Slim Shady, hi, nice to have you here, Slim. Allie, after my first bridge during making twang song, I hear some noise like a vocal fry register in high notes. What is my problem and how to solve it? The larynx is coming up, and it's introducing some interference in the tone, and you're getting some crackle. The larynx is up. C, GC, GERD. Hi, Chuck. It's Gertie. And also, Ali, it could be like you're constricting the back of the throat, or you're closing the back of the throat. That's another possibility too. But usually that's in conjunction with the larynx coming up. Hi, Chuck. It's Gertie. Yes, I just learned that I'm a contralto with you in a lesson the other day. I also can't always hit the low notes. When I'm sick, I can though. Yeah, that's the one good thing about being sick, right? Our low notes come right out. Angela Delaney says, so in our day, today speaking, should we as singers be more conscious about keeping our voices relaxed in order to keep them from wearing out by the end of the day? Angela, I think so. Especially if let's just say you're a grade school teacher and you're also a musical theater aficionado and you're in some shows. I think you gotta pace your voice, and you also need to be aware of how you're speaking and what you're doing during the day. So you know what? I'm going to include that I'm going to write that down too as an exercise that we can. I'll show you an exercise that's really great for helping the voice kind of get like a massage, and that's the tongue trill. I'll show that to you in a second. Keithana, hi. I can't hit high notes. Okay, so at this point, I'm just going to stop and say, if you're having trouble with the larynx being too high, which is why you can't hit high notes, then in the description below this video is a PDF that says, get my vocal type, or get your vocal type. It's a free PDF. And in that PDF, you'll see there will be a vocal test. It's called the power test. So it'll be a link to the test. You can take a test. You can get your vocal type. Then you can watch videos about your vocal type, whether you're pulled chest, high larynx, which 90% of us are. I'm going to guess 90%. You can watch the videos about your vocal type. It might be light chest, no chest, for example, or it might be flip falsetto, or it might be a mixed vocal type. Then there are exercises to download for your vocal type. It'll help you solve the problem of not being able to sing high. It'll eliminate the problems that cause that, which is the larynx coming up and so forth. So get the PDF below, and that's going to be your first step to being able to sing the high notes. That's where I was 22 years ago. I couldn't sing any high notes. John McCall says, Broadway, David Hess is a great baritone. That is my boss. Cool. Steve Hess, first cousin, all related to the great Jake Hess. Well, nice, John. That's pretty cool. David played Sweeney Todd. What a role. Lil Ming 23, I can hear myself and sing on key when I'm singing high, but it's hard to hear myself when I'm singing in a lower key. Also, I'm male. Any tips? Are you talking about when you're singing just a solo by yourself? Are you talking about like when you're in a choir or in an ensemble? John McCall talks about throat coat tea, entertainer secret, and I do use entertainer secret. I think it's a spray that has well, I can't remember the stuff that's in it, but it does. I think it helps. I inhale. It gives you kind of a mist, and so I actually inhale the mist so that it gets on my vocal cords. I hope. It seems to a little bit. I have to be a little careful. I don't want to cough, and then my larynx starts coming up for sure. But Entertainer Secret, I like that stuff. I've used it before. It definitely restores the moisture in my throat, and it gets the vocal cords a little bit. And I mainly use it when I'm sick. I don't use it routinely. But when I've been sick, I know you're not supposed to sing when you're sick, but if you've got a cold, and you can still vocalize, then you don't want to miss your show. So Entertainer Secret has been something that I've liked. We are the house group at the Ark Encounter, Williamstown, Kentucky. 400 one-hour sets for a year for life. Cool, John. Awesome. Melody says, I've noticed the quality of my speaking voice has improved after doing Chuck's exercises. Good, Melody. That's good to hear. The first time I heard it played back after doing the exercises, I was surprised. Yeah, and I have to say, over the years, my larynx has come down, and my voice has deepened. And I haven't really, I could hit the E when I was in high school, but it's bigger, deeper, richer now, and probably more consistent because it's really shocking to hear me speak. Of course, I'm getting older, and so the voice will drop with age also. But, I'll give you these exercises. Let me just give these to you right now. because they will. John says, yes, Chuck's lessons are awesome. Well, thank you, you guys. Very helpful, and I am a professional singer. That's awesome. Natalia Maximova. Cool name. At some point, vocal muscles, my pointer's in the way here. At some point, vocal muscles along chords are contracted at their maximum. Yeah. Does it put a natural limit to how low you can go? Well, Natalia, the chords shorten as you go down in pitch. And so I think it's an interesting question. But there's also a tensor mechanism. I don't know if it's like the I can't remember what it's called now, but the thyroid arytenoid has the responsibility to shorten the chords, and there's also a tensor in there, so that there's got to be some tension, otherwise we wouldn't be able to adjust for pitch, right? So I am sure that that's part of the limit, but I'm going to guess it's probably the overall length of the chord structure when it's at rest, and they're longer than when yours are at rest, okay? And that's how they differentiate between singers. And I don't know that it you know, what else is involved in it, but it is definitely something that's genetic. And frankly, on the low notes, there's some things we can do, but primarily it's a genetic issue. I see this a lot. Genetics in the singing has a big impact, because I'll get a student in here that just can sing the daylights out of something, and first day, you know, they walk in and they just can sing. And if I ask the question, do you have a parent that sings? Always they say, yeah, my mom's a singer. Or always they'll say, no, they'll say, my grandma is like an amazing singer. And so you can see this genetic influence in voices all the time. Now, that doesn't mean I don't have anybody that I can source, but I'm not necessarily Mr. Amazing. But I've been able to sing enough to have a really great time in musical theater and with a lot of lead singing roles. So I can't trace my experience to an ancestor. My dad had a really deep, rich voice, but he wasn't a singer. I mean, he was never trained and never had any interest in it. But I'd sing with him at church, and it's like, whoa, just his real deep voice, and I could hear it, you know. And I remember when I'd sing at church with one of my little kids, they'd look up at me when I was singing on the bass note. They'd look up because, you know, I could vibrate the bench a little bit. So maybe my kids or grandkids will have a propensity for singing and have a little bit of help genetically because of me. Who knows? Or because, you know, maybe somebody in your family will have that same benefit. However, there's some things we can do, okay? So, all right, so you guys are helping one another, and that's awesome. So let me give you some of these exercises here. First of all, if you put your hand here on your larynx, you can see it move up and down. If I say, duh, duh, it's going to go down. Now, if I just say, duh, duh, it doesn't do anything. So I have to do it kind of dumb. Duh, duh. And that activates the muscles down here and pulls it down. So, duh. Now, if I take that duh and say, gee, gee, can you see it go down? Gee. So with that dopey sound and gee, Guys, you would do it, maybe start it right here. And I'm doing it kind of with with almost ooh lips. Ladies, you would start yours up here. And then you go up. And I'm going to take you through the bridge of your voice. So you got to keep this dopey sound going the whole time so the larynx stays down. Now, if you stay dopey with this, it also goes a little bit hollow or hooty sounding. Hear that hooty? You got to keep that going, because if you said the larynx is coming up, and the result of that will be you'll lose your low notes. So you want to maintain that dopey hooty sound as you go through the bridge. These are the ladies. Now, that's the ladies through their, that's the sopranos and the mezzo-sopranos through their first bridge. If you're a contralto, then it would be down here where the tenors and basses are. Sorry, tenors and baritones. Oh, sorry. Made a mistake. Guys are probably wondering what's going on. So the tenors and basses would start down here. And the contraltos. So if the larynx starts coming up, it sounds like, but that's why you keep that hooty sound. So there's a comment here from Eddie, make tutorial how to sing a high note next. So Eddie, I've already done that, but I haven't done one on low notes. But on the high notes, go to powertosing.com and click on vocal types in the menu. But easier than that, just go to there's a PDF down in this description below the video. It will be, at least. I don't know if you can get to it now, but after this video, excuse me, there's a free PDF. Get your vocal type. And it has links to a vocal test, to your vocal type, to videos about your vocal type, and to exercises about your vocal type. And those exercises will help you get your high note. Because what happens is we don't realize this when we haven't heard about it, but you have to go through a bridge of your voice. You have to go through a transition to get up higher. And those exercises that are on this PDF that you can download for free are going to help you get your high notes, okay? So guys, going back to now it's an exaggerated sound, you guys. I understand that. And you wouldn't sing it that way. But this is an exercise that creates a different kind of muscle memory to keep the larynx down as the pitch goes up. So you start to retrain your nervous system. You start to retrain your muscle memory by doing these low larynx exercises. Here's a different one. Same result. guys. In fact, probably the easiest thing just to tell everybody is download, get the PDF if you haven't gotten it already, and get your vocal type. Download the exercises for your vocal type. On all of the on the pulled chest, high larynx exercises, these are all going to be there. Now, I don't know I can't remember how many of them I did on there, but ladies, you're up here. Stay dopey and hooty. Now, if I said, for guys, there's another great exercise, the same gi, only on the long scale, the 1.5. Ladies, you would start, most of you would start here. Some of the contraltos could probably do the one I just did. You hear how it goes really hooty. So I keep that in position the whole time. And that helps get that larynx down. Now I can already feel. I've seen some really remarkable things with exercises like this that get the larynx down, and then all of a sudden those bottom notes come in crystal clear, as well as the top notes, as the high notes. That's what's so awesome about that condition, is that it helps you get the high notes, and it helps you get the low notes. Now, someone mentioned speaking, and this is a little more advanced as far as the exercise is concerned. Well, let me give you two things. You can always do this. This is maybe the very best one. So if I do that bubble it, and I do it a little bit dopey. Now, if I lose the dopey sound, listen what happens. I'm just pinching it. The larynx is still coming up. You probably get some benefit, but not nearly as much as if you're doing it kind of stupid. So you want to say, Again, those exercises are in that PDF that I'm talking about. Get your vocal type. Ladies, you're up here. Now, the more advanced one is harder to do for a lot of people. It's the tongue trill. If you can do the tongue trill, watch this. I'll do the. So, forgetting the tongue trill for a moment, just blow air through your lips. Just blowing air through. Now put the tongue trill behind that. So you kind of closing your lips over the tongue trill. If I do that a little bit better, take a breath, adequate breath. So I'm doing a tongue trill, and I'm interrupting this with my lips kind of closed over. It that is that is like a vocal massage. It feels so good on my voice. I can feel it right now. It just feels so good. Gee, 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 gee. Ah. Now, sometimes it takes a while for the larynx to come down. So I don't want to lead you astray and make you think that if the larynx is high and you can't hit your low notes, that you can just do a couple of these exercises and it's going to suddenly be there. I've not really tested that, but my sense is that the larynx, it takes a little while for the larynx to come down. And so, but this, that tongue trill with your lips covered over the top of it is it's a real vocal massage. It feels great. And it really has the ability to keep the larynx down. So anyway, Angela says, wow, with those exercises, I can keep hitting the low notes. They don't fade out. Okay, so there's Angela right there that's trying it out, and it seems to be working for her. Is the hooty sound a good trick to pass the first bridge? Yes, Ali, it's helpful because it's an indication that the larynx is staying down. I keep hitting my table with my camera. If I said, do it on goo. If you're having trouble with gee, goo, 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 goo. It's a little bit easier to keep the hooty sound. Goo, 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 goo. Or goo, 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 goo. Now if I said goo, 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 that's not staying hooty, and the larynx is coming up. Goo, 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 goo. I really have to relax this to enable that hooty sound. So there's a couple. Nuno, hi. Didn't say hi to you. Hey Chuck, speaking of low notes, I can hit an E1 in the subharmonic and or fry. It is my lowest note. Is that a good low note? An E1? That's E1. I'd say that's pretty good. I don't know. I don't really feel like a vocal fry is I think it's more of a noise than a note. But took him 2 years to try and to reach it. So I don't, a vocal fry for me is more of a tool in some exercises, but I've never really heard anybody. I mean, I've heard of some harmonic singing, which I think is cool, but just like regular everyday like singing, I've never heard anybody sing with a vocal fry. Oh, maybe there's a rap we could work up. I don't know. Anyway, okay. So John Sniff, Entertainer Secret. So if you guys, we've gotten off on Entertainer Secret here. Okay, any other comments here that have I missed? Let me just kind of retrace these a little bit. Yeah, so I think that I don't want to leave anybody out here, but I think most of these have been answered. There was some other questions early on. Let me come back up here. I'm not sure what AJ was asking, other than to say his name. Petunia, 4 minutes late. Glad you were able to get here. Okay. AJ had one question. Did I answer that? Oh, I think it was, can I start singing now that he's 18 or something? Okay. Breath of the front quadrant of your lungs. All right. So Carmen, you're helping everybody, and that's awesome. I think we're about there, you guys. uh, I really appreciate all of the conversation, discussion today. It's really awesome. And so just let me see, make sure I gave you my secret weapon. What's cool about that exercise is you can do it anywhere. You can do it driving, you know, you don't have to do this while you're driving with your knee or something. But you can do it walking down the hallway if you're at school, because it's pretty quiet. You go into the restroom and you know it's just pretty non-disruptive, and it doesn't take long for the voice to start feeling really good. It'd be a great warm down too at the end of the day, as well as a good warm up before the day of vocalizing, whatever that happens to be. Okay, so I think we've covered it. Any other last comments or questions before we wrap it today? Actually, it's 3 minutes till the top of the hour, and I have a student that's coming, so I need to bug out of here. So thanks very much, you guys. Devox. Let me see here. There's a couple questions here I didn't see. Never man, I love you. Never mind. Angela says, wow, those exercises I can keep hitting low notes. They don't fade. Great. It's hard to make a tongue trill. What's the problem? Maybe you have a lazy tongue. I don't know. Angela's, it may take a while for the larynx to come down because the body needs to relax. Yeah, I agree. I'd dearly love to hear a rap on this group. Hi Chuck. Can a person physically thicken their chords? I don't think so. To get more lower notes, I don't believe so. You really don't want to do anything to your voice. You know, I guess you get Botox. I don't. I'm just kidding. That is a joke. Botox your vocal cords. That's a joke. Don't try it. Trills are so helpful. Thanks. It's because we need to keep a stable airflow with most mimic. Is it because we need to keep a stable airflow with most mimic muscles relaxed? You know, Natalia, I definitely on that exercise, I do have to keep the diaphragm activated because there's a lot of resistance. There's a lot of air that's coming up, and I'm resisting it. But the main reason why it helps is you're getting 3 areas of resistance with the airflow. The vocal cords are resisting the air. The tongue trill is resisting the second resistance. Sorry. And the lips provide a 3rd area of resistance for the airflow. And as a result, the larynx there's some back pressure that's holding the larynx down. And as a result, it's a vocal massage. So anyway, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining me today. And remember, you can sing higher and lower with beauty, confidence, and power. See you inside the next video. Take care.